friends, we break those, and today we're going to be reviewing Moonbyul's newest solo album, SYNOPSIS. This is the second solo mini-album by Mamamoo's very own rapper, Moonbyul. I've always found that Moonbyul had a very unique aesthetic in comparison to her K-pop contemporaries, even among the other girls in Mamamoo. Her first mini-album released back in 2020 showcased her charms fairly well, however it was a bit formulaic and messy at times in its instrumentation. This mini-album though sees a sound much more refined and cohesive. Though not pushing boundaries too much, it does have a very nostalgic and elegant touch that is a pretty interesting and engaging contrast to her usual aesthetic. Intro Synopsis is a nice groovy little R&B tune that opens up the project. Clean guitars, elegant vocals, and some low-key beats are a very dreamy backdrop to Moonbyul's almost letter-esque lyrics about her trying to get her love and stories straight in her mind because she keeps thinking about them over and over. She's kind of pining for old love, and I think that lyrical angle, alongside the more fleshed out instrumental, really makes this song feel a bit more fleshed out than a lot of K-pop intros out there. G999 is the best song on this mini-album, hands down. To be honest, I really missed that sort of New Jack Swing revival era of K-pop ever since EXID released Lady back in 2018, and this really satisfies that itch. Lush and intricate beats and flows make for a very authentic feel and end up feeling like a love letter to the genre, especially when that light and sweet chorus kicks in. Marani really meshes with Moon and this beat perfectly, and her flow is pretty crazy at times. She is spittin'. It really has everything that you could want from a New Jack Swing song, and that bridge where the girls start interacting each other over some shimmery synths, like, it's just magical. Going back to the R&B vibes of the intro, Shutdown is a very sultry and sensual sounding tune that utilizes all of its elements really well. Sparse and chill beats balance the very cool instrumental and Moonbyul's very warm vocals nicely. Her rap verse also feels very natural, and I like how we're getting to hear a lot of her different vocal patterns and styles in addition to her usual rapping aesthetic. The lyrics also fit this very smoky and suave instrumental as they're basically going on a little expedition in the bedroom, it seems. I mean, let's just be honest, it's a lesbian anthem, and it's not exactly subtle, but I mean, subtle's not exactly who Moonbyul is, right? It really is the definitive K-R&B sound, and I think it was pretty powerful to make a song like this, even knowing that Korea's culture is a bit more conservative, so they might not be as accepting of something like this, so good for Moonbyul. Funnily enough, Lunatic, the main single, is actually probably the weakest track on the mini-album for me. It's kind of tonal whiplash to everything that we've experienced up until this point, with its super bubbly and bombastic instrumental and its sort of synthy tendencies as well. The verses kind of fall flat for me, unfortunately, feeling very rigid and sparse in comparison to the more natural sounding instrumentation we've experienced previously. I will say that the chorus is pretty fun though, and I like how it does get more lush and dynamic, which brings us back to the more engaging moments like on G999. Overall though, I will say that there's just too much going on this track, and too much that just does not fit the vibe of the project as a whole. The lyrics are pretty funny though, describing Moonbyul being unapologetically herself and how she doesn't really fit into a lot of the typical Korean conventions, and also how her mom basically just gave up on her. For me, it's another classic K-R&B tune with very moody guitar and these lovesick vocals that just croon over it. It's warm and intricate despite feeling a bit distant as well, to the song's advantage, and I really like how the beat sort of picks up during the chorus too. There's this groove about the track that makes it flow naturally and effortlessly, and I do like how her vocal tone on this one, it gets very personable, and she kind of lets it just flow out so she can effectively convey all of her emotions and what she's feeling. Lyrically, it's one of those smoky, sappy heartbreak tunes, but she delivers it with so much heart and passion that you just can't help but root for her. The last song is Do 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 Do. I really like how she ends with an R&B tune fitting for the mini-album, but she takes it in a different direction with its more lounge piano aesthetic. It's very elegant, melancholic, and nostalgic as well. It actually kind of reminds me of early Mamamoo ballads, like maybe from the Piano Man era or something like that. The flourishes of samples and guitar add some nice texture to the track, and I love how she just sort of grooves and glides over this instrumental effortlessly. She also hits some pretty nice notes here too, like there's really nothing to dislike about this one. Who knew Moonbyul can do a track like this, right? I have to say, this is definitely a pretty solid project from Moonbyul. She definitely has skills as a rapper, we all know that already, but I really do like seeing her explore different sides of herself and her sound as well. The sound of this project in particular was a lot more concise and intricate compared to her previous mini-album, so it was nice to see her expand her musical palette here. The title track Lunatic was really the only low point on this mini-album for me, just for how unfitting it was. It kind of sounds like she realized she didn't have a traditional K-pop sounding song on her mini-album, so she just threw it together real quick, but it really sticks out in not the greatest ways. However, that aside, I will say that Moonbyul is definitely starting to come into her own as a solo performer, and I really do hope she continues experimenting with that New Jack Swing style of G999, alongside the very lush and intricate R&B sounds of Do 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 Do. I'm feeling a strong 7 on this solo album by Moonbyul. Of course, we do have to talk about album covers as well, and honestly, this is a pretty great album cover too. I really love how the sort of pink lighting is reflecting on her. It does have a very sort of moody red hue to it overall. The pose that she's in is also sort of vulnerable and delicate, which is a kind of interesting contrast to her usual aesthetic. She definitely feels more open here, I think. I will say it is a bit weird to have Lunatic be on the cover, you know, the title track song, as opposed to the actual mini-album title sequence. But that aside, I do think the photo was definitely good. Even the text and font of all that with Lunatic was well done as well. So just a few odd choices in subjects, I guess, when it comes to putting the song on the cover instead of the actual mini-album name. Of course, those were just my thoughts on this new mini-album by Moonbyul. What did you guys think? Did you also think this was a very lush and intricate experience? Or were you hoping for something a little harder, a little more rap-focused? Let me know. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and maybe I'll rap for you. I won't. Until the next one, farewell.